Hello, and welcome once again to Lehto's Law. I'm Steve Lehto, attorney at law in the state of Michigan. I've been practicing law for 26 years in the fields of consumer protection and lemon law. I often write about this stuff for places like roadandtrack.com, and I've written a few books as well. One book I wrote, of course, is Chrysler's Turbine Car, the rise and fall of Detroit's coolest creation right here. This, of course, is the story of that car right there and another car that's behind me you can't see. Of course, if you're listening to the podcast, none of that means anything to you, but there are cars behind me on my shelves that are little models. And the book has a foreword written by Jay Leno, who has a turbine car. So today I'm wearing a t-shirt, Jay Leno's Garage, in honor of that. He's got a TV show, but also has a YouTube video channel called Jay Leno's Garage. If you go there and look for the turbine car video, you will see me sitting in Jay Leno's Garage talking turbine cars with Jay himself. So check that out. Today we're going to talk about how to be a good car dealer, how to be a good car dealer. I got an email from somebody who said, Steve, I'm thinking about opening up a car dealership. And if I want to open up a car dealership and be a good car dealer, what do I do? Because I've watched all your videos, you explain what bad car dealers do, but what could I do to be a good car dealer? And I thought, this is fascinating. I've never thought about it this way before because no one's ever asked before. So I think the primary problem is a lack of transparency, a confusion that's often caused by the dealers purposely muddying the waters or so on. And we'll get into this more detail. But for instance, one of the biggest complaints I hear about is people who say they're misled about the quality of the car they're buying, okay? They go to a car dealership, they're looking at a car, make, model, year, they like the car. Salesman strolls up and they say, tell me about this car. And the salesman says something to the effect of, it's a great car, runs really nice, blah, 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 blah. In reality, the salesman quite often doesn't know a darn thing about the car. They're simply just saying things they're allowed to say as sales puffery. And they will then say things like the car runs great. And it implies that the salesperson knows something about the car, which they probably don't know. So more often than not, these vehicles are either just traded in or they're bought at auction, and the car dealer doesn't know a whole lot about them. I actually think the world would be a better place if the dealerships admitted this and simply said, you know something, we bought it at an auction 2 days ago, we got it on our lot, I looked at it, I drove it around the parking lot, seemed okay to me, but quite frankly, that's all I know about it. Now, Carfax helps a little bit. When I say Carfax, I mean Carfax or any of the other agencies that report data based on VINs. Because Carfax will often show things like it was sold at an auction, or it was subject to so many repair attempts, or warranty repairs and so on. So Carfax is a little enlightening. But if a dealership, all they have is the car they bought and the Carfax for it, they really ought to just admit that and just say, you know something, we bought the car, it looked like a good buy to us, we've got the Carfax, which checks out, but you know something, take it for a test drive and see what you think. And, I've had a lot of people tell me, they say, well, but the guy told me it was a good car. I know the temptation's there to say it because it's harmless in the respect that you can't sue a dealership for saying that if it's not true. But I know people who say, I would have had the car inspected, except the guy told me I didn't need to. So I think a car dealership would do themselves a lot of good if they wanted to be honest and so on. If they simply said, all we know about it is we bought it at an auction 3 days ago, had it on our lot, we washed it, waxed it, whatever. And here's the Carfax. But if you really want to know more about the car, take it for a test drive or have it inspected. Just tell them that, okay? So that's one of the things, the quality of the cars, and are people being misled about the quality of the cars before they purchase a car? Second of all, you need to tell people what warranties the vehicle comes with, if any. Because I know people who say, I bought a car and it broke down, and I think the dealership's on the hook for this. And I say, why? And they say, well, the guy told me they'd take care of me. At the same time, they're having them sign an as-is document, okay? So if someone's buying a car as is and says, by the way, what happens if it breaks down? Don't say, oh, we'll take care of you. Unless you really plan on taking care of somebody who brings a car back and says the vehicle broke down. You're better off just saying, no, the car does not come with any warranties. Because that's what the buyer's guide says. It says this car is being sold with no warranties, as is. So when somebody says, what warranties does the vehicle come with, you've got to tell them and be truthful and say, comes with no warranties. That's what this document says. And if somebody says, wait a second, I'm not going to buy a car from you with no warranties, you say, well, go walk down the street, check out any other used car lot up and down the street here. You'll see they all have these same window stickers. It's a, government mandated sticker, and almost all of them used, at least, will say being sold as is, no warranties. So why not be truthful? Somebody says, does this car come with a warranty? You say, no, it doesn't. Now, if you want to buy a warranty, I can sell you one, or a service contract or whatever. But if somebody says, this purchase price we're talking right here, and this vehicle right here, being sold to me as is, does it come with warranties? You have to say, no, it does not. That's what as is means, okay? And if people say that sounds scary, you say, well, you have to understand, build that into the price, price it accordingly, okay? So when you're car shopping and one car comes with a warranty, one car comes out of warranty, price them accordingly. The one with a warranty is worth more money. So you explain to somebody, that's why you're getting such a good deal on this car. The price is so low because it has no warranties on it. And some people will balk at that and some people won't. So BALK, by the way. So be sure to explain to people whether or not it has a warranty and tell them the truth on this. And again, where a lot of dealerships get in trouble is they walk that fine line of saying, oh, it's a great car, we'll take care of you, blah, 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 sign the as-is documents, get off our lot now. So if you tell them, hey, it has no warranties, that's what that means, I think you'd have a lot fewer disgruntled buyers. Now, one of the things that ties into that very, very closely is a lot of people have told me, said, Steve, I bought a car. Had no warranties on it. I bought it as is. I knew that. They knew that. And the guy said to me, though, if you have any problems, give me a call. Okay? Which the buyer heard as, if you have any problems, we'll fix them for you. And so when you're selling somebody a car and they express concerns about future problems and they say, what happens if it's defective? Don't say, call us, unless you really intend on taking care of somebody who calls you by doing the repairs for free, because that's what they're hearing, okay? So when someone says, what will you do if the car turns out to be defective, you have to tell them and say, well, the vehicle's being sold to you as is. So you don't call us, we sold it to you. You got to call a car mechanic, take it to a shop or have somebody look at it and have them do it, but the cost is going to be on you. Now, I know, again, a lot of people are saying dealerships will never say this, but it's already written on the documents. Most sales documents, RD108's in Michigan, application for title, they'll often put it in there, but also in buyer's guides, it'll often say, or purchase agreements, you will pay for all future repairs. So why would it hurt you to say those things out loud, okay? And again, this is part of the lack of transparency or confusion I think a lot of car dealers create when they're selling a car, because they're telling the person one thing and they're writing something else when they know that the written word overrides the spoken word. So when somebody asks you a question, if the answer is in the writing, point it out to them and say, you know, well, you ask about what I'll do for you. I can't do anything for you, but you know, that's what this document says that you just signed or you're about to sign, okay? So if you bring the car back to us, we won't fix it free of charge. We might look at it and tell you where you can fix it at a fair price, or if you've got a mechanic on staff who does work for money, you can say, or we'll fix it at a reasonable rate. But we're not going to do it for free because that's not what we're doing here. That would be a warranty and you're buying the vehicle as is. So make sure it's very, very clear what you will or will not do if the car is defective, especially if they ask you. Now, the place where this probably all falls apart is whether or not the price is fair. Okay? So you are a car dealer and you're selling something. Whether it's cars, you could be selling widgets. Your job is to get as much money as you can for what you're selling. And I'm the buyer. It's my job to get it for as little as I possibly can. But we all know that that's where the tension comes in. And the more you can sell it for, the bigger your profit margin is. And of course, depending on what you bought it for at the auction, you also know how much you can sell it for before you start losing money and so on. But here's the problem. There is an assumption that there's a fair price out there. That if 10 experts got together, what's the fair price for that car? That a fair price could be derived, right? And you can look at Kelley Blue Book or Red Book or NADA or Black Book, you know, whatever. Whenever I mention one, people go, yeah, but there's others. Okay, fine, whatever. It's a whole rainbow of books out there about car prices. And so you look at a book and you say, okay, here's the average price. But everyone knows that average price, number one, means that they sell for more, they sell for less. You've seen the ads on TV for the companies that have apps that will calculate a bunch of stuff for you. But the apps and the books cannot factor in one thing. And that is if you're a car dealer and you take a car in and somebody brings the car in and it's smoking because it's got a blown head gasket. Pick an example here. And they say, look, the car's got smoking problems. Smokes too much. I want to trade it in. And you get the car dirt cheap because you recognize it's got a blown head gasket. And let's assume it's one of those vehicles with a really, really expensive head gasket. It's a nightmare to replace. It costs a fortune, okay? You could steam clean that engine, detail the car, and put it out on your lot and hope to sell it to somebody who doesn't take it for too long of a test drive. And they might not figure out the blown head gaskets there. There are other problems that are latent like that someone might not spot, like a rod knock, for instance. If it's a slight rod knock and you put heavyweight oil in there, or a transmission that slips, but it only slips under certain conditions. And you figured this out when you got the car in, so you really, really lowballed the person when they brought the car in, okay? So the car has an average sale price of $5,000, but you bought it for $500 because you know it's got a blown head gasket or a slipping transmission, whatever it is. Okay, so now, when you go to sell that car, you could sell it for $5,000, the fair price, but the fair price isn't factoring in what's really wrong with the car because that's one of the things that would knock the price down. So you are torn with the devil and the angel on your shoulders, where one is saying, you've got to disclose that this vehicle's got this blown head gasket or slipping transmission or whatever. Or you don't disclose and you sell it for the $5,000 or $6,000. Hey, make a big profit. And that's the real issue that I think a lot of car dealerships have, because they're sitting there looking at this going, okay, we could disclose that the car's got the problem. Chances are no one will buy it, or someone's going to buy it, but they're going to want to pay the fair price for it. But we can make a huge profit if we simply don't disclose the problem and pretend we didn't know about it. Now, I know there's people out there listening saying, Steve, but isn't the dealership under a legal obligation to disclose this in most states? And in some states they are. But they get around it by saying, we didn't know. We didn't know. The thing was steaming when it came in, but we shut it off and fired it up later and it wasn't steaming. Who knows? Could be that somebody spilled antifreeze on the radiator as opposed to a blown head gasket. So the real question is the price fair of a vehicle you're selling? Because everyone knows there are people out there who don't do their homework, they don't know what they're doing. They literally walk up to the dealership and they go, oh, a $10,000 car, it looks nice, I'll buy it. Without realizing that it's a Daewoo Lanos that wasn't worth $10,000 a day, it was brand new. And by the way, I mentioned Daewoo Lanos a long time ago, and I challenged and I said, anybody who can come up with a registration for one that's still on the road, I'll give you a book. And I put a time limit on it, foolishly thinking somebody would do it. Nobody ever did. So right now, I'm going to make this offer, and this offer will extend until the end of mankind. For every valid registration sent to me of a Daewoo Lanos on the road at any given time from this point forward, I will send you a free copy of the Lemon Law. Let's go to the Chrysler Turbine Car book, because I have it right here. And it costs more than the Lemon Law Bible. Free copy of Chrysler's Turbine Car, or actually any other book I've written. I'll give you a free book, sign it, mail it to you. All you got to do is produce the registration for a Daewoo Lanos actually on the road, okay? Can't be done. But I digress. So the question is the price fair? Because here's the major problem. You all know that if you sell all the cars at a fair price, it's going to be harder to stay in business than if you sell them all at big marked up profits that you can actually do. And I think a lot of people, when they're buying and selling things, trying to make a profit off the difference between what they buy it for and what they sell it for, they tend to start thinking about increasing the profits, even if that means fudging, cutting a few corners here and there. So that's really going to be the question is the price fair? Can you actually get yourself to sell cars at a fair price? I don't know. We'll see. Another question about pricing, and this is important, is the pricing clear? Is it clear? As I've had people tell me, they go, yeah, I bought the car for $5,000, $10,000, whatever it is. And I look at the purchase agreement, and the number at the bottom right-hand corner is vastly different. And I go, then why is this big number down here? Because you paid that. You didn't pay for that. And a bunch of junk got added in. Now, the stuff might be legitimate. I mean, you got to pay sales tax. You got to pay the license and registration, things like that. But like I said, you got this double secret pinstriping price at this one dealership in Michigan, ads or whatever. You got to make sure the pricing is clear. Now, there is truth in lending. So if you person borrowed money to buy the car, they get the Truth in Lending Act document. It's got the boxes across the top. It says, here's how much you're putting down, here's how much the car costs, here's how much the interest is, blah, 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 blah. By the time you're done paying, here's what you'll have paid, and so on. That will make a lot of that clear, but it would be even clearer if you went through and explained the stuff and didn't lie about what they had to buy. So if you say, hey, you must buy rust proofing. I've had people tell me that. You want to avoid those kinds of things. So make sure that the pricing is clear, and also make sure that the financing is clear, okay? And I've had people tell me that they bought a car, the guy promised them financing at this rate, wound up getting them financing at that rate, and they were convinced they were misled because they were told, I got you financing from Bank A, and then later on, Bank A fell through, we had to go with Bank B. Well, how could it fall through if you'd already gotten it for me? And a lot of those wind up being spot deliveries or yo-yo sales. So again, don't do those if you want to be a good car dealer. One of the other things that I think is really important if you want to be a good car dealer, and again, this is one of those things that people do it because it works, but the high pressure tactics. We've all bought cars, gone shopping. We thought we negotiated a deal with a salesman, and he goes, okay, I got to go talk to my manager now. You go, what were you and I just doing before we shook hands if you've got to go talk to somebody else? And we know the guy's going to come back with bad news. My manager says I can't give you the car at that price. I'm sorry. My manager said. What? And I've had it happen before. I've had it happen to me where I was shopping with somebody else, but also for myself, where the manager comes back with the salesman and maybe a third person, like a bodyguard, like a goon, just to stand there, leaning over me going, okay, the price you want to get this for is impossible. No one will sell you the car at that price. No one will. And I always say, oh yeah? I'm going to go check. And I get up and I walk out. And that's when I start panicking. But the point is, these high pressure tactics where you get handed off from one person to another. I've been to dealers before where I actually shook hands with a manager. And they say, okay, now go talk to the finance guy. I go, wait. Don't you also manage the finance guy? Oh, no, he's managed by the finance manager. Okay. Who do I got to talk to around here to get this deal to work, right? So the high pressure tactics, they're not as bad at a smaller dealership. You know, a guy who's going to start his own car dealership, like the guy who sent me the email. It might just be him and a couple other people. They might not have enough people to do the tag team on the buyers. But the high pressure tactics are what so many people hate about car buying, is they know that you set foot in a lot, you get descended upon by salespeople, you go into one of the cubicles, and next thing you know, it's I got to go talk to the manager, I got to talk to this person, go talk to that person, bring back paperwork, oh my God, that's not going to work. How much can you really afford to pay today? What do you want your payment to be? You know, it's all these games people play. So try to avoid those high pressure tactics and the game playing also. So like I said, getting back to the beginning, how to be a good car dealer. You want to be a good car dealer? Number one, try to make the transactions as transparent as possible. Don't mislead people about the quality of the cars if you can avoid it. Provide them Carfaxes, but let them know, by the way, I'm giving you the Carfax, but I don't know much more about this car than you do. I encourage you to get it inspected because as far as I can tell, it's a nice car, but I didn't test drive it and I didn't tear it apart and look into the insides of it, so I don't know. If it comes with a warranty, tell them, but if it doesn't, tell them that also. But make sure it's very, very clear that if it comes with no warranties, you are not going to help them if they bring it back broken down. You might help them find a mechanic, okay, but you're not going to actually help them with the repair costs. And then again, is the price fair? Yeah, what's fair? But again, you're entitled to a margin or a profit. But the question is, if you buy something for $5,000 and you know it's got a blown head gasket, and without the blown head gasket be worth 10, and you sell it for 20, okay, that might not be fair. But again, that's between you, your conscience, and your God if you have one. And then finally, avoid the high pressure tactics, handing people off, or even doing the documents at closing time. We've all had that happen. They say, hey, come on by, pick up your car at 4:30. What time does the dealership close? 4:45. Can't read the documents in 15 minutes. Well, they'll see if they can make you, but whatever. So that's how to be a good car dealer, and I hope that at least one dealer out there will watch this and go, you know something? That guy's making sense. I think I'll try it. So questions or comments, as always, shoot them my way. LehtosLaw.com, LEHTOSLAW.com. I'm on Twitter, at Steve Lehto, at STEVELEHTO. This show's on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Podbean, Google Play, and YouTube. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.